Hi there, this is Andre from Localization Academy. In this video, I'm going to give you a small, short tutorial for teamwork, and I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. And also, as we go and explain to you how I created these two projects, I'm going to give you my commentary on what I think is great about teamwork and also what I think could be improved, especially compared to the other platforms that I tried before as part of this series. So let's get right into the tutorial, and this is how you start with teamwork. So after the initial first few information that you enter about yourself and your company, as in many other platforms, part of your first login experience, you have this simple way like this wizard where you create your first project. So this is where we're going to start entering our first project, and we always start with project A, which is a very simple project of only 3 tasks. And those tasks are translation. We usually indicate the word count, we say review, which is 40 hours, and then we do delivery. Continue. What works better for you? You can change it later. We always start with a table because we want to define the columns and the properties that we track for each task. Invite your teammates. Quickly going to add my 2 fake people, I and Christian, and we'll use them as translators for Japanese and German. Continue. And this is it. Welcome to the initial layout of teamwork. First thing that we're going to do, we're going to add the subtasks. Here I was a little bit surprised that the way how you add subtasks is not so easy. You can always open this thing and add subtasks through here. But if I wanted to add multiple subtasks with keyboard, I cannot do it from this view. I'm not sure if I can do it from here. I'm gonna say no, but I found this way. Here you have the more options for this row, and here you have, they actually created a specific pop-up window to quickly add subtasks. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to, for translation, we're going to say that we are going to be tracking the German translation. Let me use enter. Japanese translation, French translation, and Korean translation, okay? This is a very easy way how to do that. Here's the first thing. In other platforms, if you have seen my previous tutorials, adding subtasks was pretty easy and simple, and you could do it directly from the, let's say, the table view. You didn't have to go into any specific windows or pop-ups. And I could also add, let's say, a new line, a new subtask just with my keyboard. I cannot do that in teamwork. And that is not the only thing. So we're going to add these 4 tasks, and we're going to assign them to anyone. Okay, there we have it. Another thing which I found quite surprising is that you cannot reorder the subtasks. I can reorder the main tasks, and the tree, by the way, looks very nice, but for some reason, I don't know why, and I don't know how to do that, but even if you go here, even if you go here to the translation, you can see that there's no way, there's no dragging here, how to drag it below. So that to me is quite surprising. So next thing what we're going to do the same thing for review. Now we have all the tasks and subtasks for our simple project A. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to clean up the columns that we need, because a bunch of this stuff we don't need. The way you do that is you click this plus sign here, which initially by default I would say it means like adding something, but you can also use it to remove columns. So to me it's like if you're editing something, it would be better to maybe use 3 dots or something like that, but whatever. So what we need to keep here, we don't need priority, we don't need anything about the time, we don't need the tags, but what we want is start date, due date, assignee. And the way that the statuses are handled in teamwork is that you have this little sort of checkboxes. So technically the only statuses that you have are like incomplete and complete. And then you can group them into these task lists. But for the status that we normally typically see in other platforms that you would use, I don't know, on Kanban board or something like that, we are going to actually have to define the status column ourselves. Because as you can see here, these are the default fields and we don't have anything like that. So that's next thing. So add custom field, I'm going to call it status. And this is where you can set if it's project specific. So ideally we want to set this status on a global level. So I'm going to uncheck this. And here is the type. And it's going to be a drop down. And here I'm going to punch in all the different statuses that we normally use. And I'm going to use the little hack that I use. So for subtasks, I'm going to prefix them with this arrow emoji. And you'll see that in a while. This one. Okay, these are all the statuses that we want to be tracking, and for done, we are just going to tick off the task when we need to. Okay, save the custom field, and it's added here, and I'm just going to quickly reorder it. So I think my status should be first, start date, due date, and maybe assignee, we can leave it to the last part. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually fill out the dates. So this is our schedule, very simple. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the statuses, all right? So these are our statuses, pretty cute, although maybe I would imagine seeing this a little bit bigger font. Now the final thing is that just the assignee, last time when I was trying it, I had some issues. Yes, exactly this thing. I don't know why this happens. I'm going to turn this off. I don't know why this happens. It's just loading something and then I cannot do anything. So what can I do? I don't know what to do about it. If by any chance you know what went wrong and how to fix this, I don't know why the window is not loading. So let me know. Now, when it comes to the whole layout, another things that we can do here is here you can filter out only the tasks that are assigned to you. So then it will look like this. I think that's pretty handy. Let me expand this. Here you have, again, we've seen this in other platforms. You can only focus on the tasks that are still incomplete, or you can show all tasks. Now everything is incomplete, so it shows already, but I typically like to keep everything as all tasks. And one more thing that I have to point out, which is to me very disappointing, is that in pretty much all of the other platforms, if you are using a table view, you can pretty much move around the table a lot with your keyboard, and you can do the basic Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, copy-paste operations. But in this case, it's just not possible, or I don't know how to do it. So first of all, I cannot even select anything with my keyboard. Like if I press down, up, it only moves my whole page. This scroll bar, it doesn't actually select any values. I cannot, right click doesn't give you any context menu, nothing like that. So it's a little bit disappointing because you have to punch in the numbers manually using mouse, selecting every field. So to me, that is very disappointing. And that's not it. What I'm going to show you next is the Gantt chart. Like I mentioned in all the previous videos, Gantt chart to me is the best way how you can get a nice visual view of where you are today, what you need to do tomorrow, and so on. But this is another disappointing thing, is that this is how it looks like in Teamwork. To me, this really says that this is like a legacy feature and it hasn't been even updated to the new look. I think when I was doing initially my, let's say, research or trying out Teamwork for the first time, I think I found in some videos that maybe Teamwork used to look something like this. But as you can see, the buttons, everything here, the colors, the color palette, everything looks different. Even the normal menu that you normally see in other apps, right? Like in other apps, if we switch to Gantt view, like the main menu, the navigation would still be there. It would just maybe, I don't know, view the Gantt chart within this area. But no, in case of teamwork, it looks like I went to some completely different app that first of all looks very, very ugly, very old-fashioned, and there's very little customization that you can do. Good thing is that it shows the weekend. You can still expand and collapse the tasks, which is nice. The thing that I don't like is that all of the things that you decide to show for the tasks are either put on the left side, on the right side, or the right side. There's no way to put it inside. And yeah, the good thing is that you still have this, you know, this, I don't know, this grouping thing or whatever that is. Anyway, I'll delete this from the menu, from the recording. So yeah. So this is the Gantt chart. And there's nothing more than I can show you here. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. That's pretty nice. You can move around with the Gantt chart, and that's about it. That's about it. So I guess functionality wise, it does what it's supposed to do. You can still move around with it and adjust the tasks here, but it's just the whole visual presentation of this. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create project B, and for that one, we usually like to duplicate project A. The way you do it here is that you just click on these dots for project A, and we're gonna say we want to copy. Choose a name for the project, that will be project B. Choose what to carry over. Here you can also do a date offset, which I think is a pretty neat feature. And I just put 0 so to keep the dates the same. And we include pretty much everything. And just do save. Now, the first thing that you see here right now is that even the copy functionality is not very thought out, because as you can see, my layout is completely different. So that is another thing that could be improved, and that is to also include copying the layout, the way I define my columns for each task. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean it up again. So for project B, what we normally do is we create 3 groups of tasks based on the different language scopes. So we right now have everything under to do, which I could have actually renamed to, let's say, all for project A, but I'm going to leave it as is. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a task list. So I'm going to say we're going to have one for language independent, and then we want one for French, Korean. And this one I'm just going to rename, and this will become our German, Japanese. Okay, I was trying for a little while to find out, so that I don't give you bad information, how to reorder the task lists, because there's no option to drag and move it, and I just didn't find it. So I guess we're going to have to edit it in a way that I have my language independent first, and then I'm going to have my German, Japanese second, which means I'm going to move some of the tasks. I believe I can move them. Yes. Okay, so this works nicely. So let me move everything here. Including the review. Okay, good. Now, this is where I'm going to fast forward, and I'm going to fill out all the tasks that we have for project B, because I'm just basically going to be doing the same thing that I did for project A. So, see you in a while. All right, we're back. I loaded everything up there, I changed the dates, I set the statuses. So here we have the German-Japanese group, which does translation review, and then they do 2 rounds of DTP and QA, and then delivery. And we have French-Korean, which just does MTPE, and then DTP, QA, and delivery. Now, the funny thing, which again I have learned only just now, is that I also set up the 3rd task list, which serves as a container for the language independent task, which we do at first. And there I loaded pre-processing. and you cannot see it right now, even though here my filter for tasks is set to all tasks. So if I add test, it's going to bring up back the whole task list back to the view. So you can see it here, and here you can see the task that I had there before, pre-processing for 10 hours, which is completed. And again, this is another thing that I just noticed, is that it's funny that even if you set it as completed, it still highlights the due date as red, even though it's completed. So it's technically not overdue, right, if it was completed. So we had very similar situation in some other platform, but there, when you set it to done, this didn't highlight as red. But what I absolutely don't understand, I don't know how to set it if I'm doing something wrong, but if my filter is to show all the tasks, if I delete the one like I had it before, I would still like it to show the language independent task list with that one task that I completed, but instead it just removes everything. So I guess if all the tasks from a task list are completed, it just removes the whole task list. And I don't know how to set up the task list to, I don't know, be shown even if all the tasks are completed. But anyway, that's just another thing which to me is different in a worse way than we had with the other platforms. So now that we have this project set up, just quickly let's have a look at the Gantt chart, which still doesn't look any prettier. It's still pretty ugly. So we have our translation, review, and blah blah blah. Here we have the remaining tasks, MTPE. There it is. So it's functional. You can see the things that you want to see, but it just needs a little bit of facelift to match the style of, let's say, the main area of teamwork. That means we have now project A and project B set up. Now, the final thing that I always do in this series is I try to create some sort of a unified one central sort of a dashboard view, but although we're just using another Gantt chart, where we ideally want to see all the projects in our portfolio that we're managing so that we can see what we have to do today. And this is where, again, I'm going to have to ask you if you know how to do this in Teamwork, because I looked under everything that is available here in Teamwork, and I just didn't find a way how to put it together in a way that you could actually drill down to the lower levels. So what I tried is that I try to create another project which maybe would work as a container, but I cannot somehow, let's say, import or duplicate or reference project A and project B inside of it. So that doesn't work. When it comes to my work, this could technically work if I marked all the tasks for me, but in any case, this is just a table that just lists things, and there's no way how you can display your tasks on a Gantt view. Maybe the reason why they don't want you to see it in the Gantt view is because that the Gantt view is just not pretty. Then the other option that you have here is to go to this everything, which to me is just like an aggregate of all the things. But here we have some milestones, risks, links, notebooks, but there's nothing like what I'm looking for. We have some reports here, but the reports are mostly high-level things. So here you can see project A, project B, which is what we want to see, but it's only aggregated based on the task that you completed, but you cannot drill down into it. Utilization and plan versus actuals is mostly related to, let's say, how much the people are working and the time that we plan versus actuals. So it doesn't show you the schedule for all your projects. So that was reports. Final thing, which I think brings me closest to what I wanted to do, is actually, and here under schedule, under planning, you can see our two projects, but when you expand it, it only shows the utilization of the people. And then we have some overview, nothing there, portfolio. And the last thing that I thought was going to be what I wanted it was the chart thing. And as you can see here, it has no projects to show because there are no projects with dates set. I spent some time trying to figure out where exactly you set this, and now I can show you. So if you go to your project, and you go to the dashboard of your project and you click this navigation menu, you're going to see here you can set the start and end dates. And the good thing here is that it sets the dates automatically based on your tasks. So I'm just going to confirm it. And the dates are set. And I'm going to do the same thing for project B. So dashboard, set start and end dates, set. Now when we go back to planning chart, here you can see that our projects are actually put on the calendar, which to me is nice. But the problem is that you cannot drill down. Okay, you only see really the high level of when the project starts and when it ends. But if you want a more granular view, you have to actually go inside each project and then look at each Gantt chart. So if you're managing, I don't know, 5 smaller projects or 10 at the same time, yes, you can see the bigger timeline for the projects. But if you want to see what actually is happening on today, then you don't have that information here. And that is another thing for me, which is a little bit of a problem for teamwork. So yeah, I mentioned other issues throughout this tutorial. Hopefully it was still useful to you. When I first launched Teamwork, I really liked the whole UI. I think the branding and everything is super good, but there are a couple of things when it comes to the user experience, the way how you can interact with the data, how you insert the data, and of course the Gantt chart and the fact that you cannot have one unified, let's say, Gantt view of all your projects. That to me is a big issue. And if I had to pick, I would definitely, based on my previous experience, there are definitely way better platforms out there if you're looking to do something that I'm doing. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for another platform that I'm going to try in probably 1 month. Until then, see you. Bye bye.